Welcome to Becoming a Millionaire Power Couple. I'm Dr. Sakisha.
I'm Eric Hylicks.
Now, over this past season, we've had some amazing guests come and sit right here next to us.
Yes, we did.
They dropped so many nuggets of wisdom, and I'm so excited when you think about how God's timing was so strategic in all of these relationships, and each person brought their different set of challenges to here.
Exactly. And it's easy to talk about it, but when you actually hear the stories, it comes real to you. You're like, wow, and it really magnifies when we look at Al and his wife, with the American dream.
Well, just think about it. What the American dream represents to one couple could be totally different from the next. As we talked to Al, he shared how he started out. At one point, he was working the floor
of a
huge Fortune 500 company, and now he is the CEO. Let's take a look at this clip.
All right, I'll start.
Not because I'm quiet, it's just because of my English.
But my name is Al Ballard, and we immigrated from Senegal about 41 years ago. Was born and raised in Dakar, Senegal. Okay. My parents are Portuguese, and so we're first generation Portuguese immigrants here in the U.S. And literally just started from a factory floor to the CEO position of a publicly traded company. So that's kind of been my American dream journey, which has truly been an American dream. That's where the story is, I think. First of all, we're just very grateful to be in this amazing country. I think for the listeners listening, we live in the most amazing country, and you only know that when you've come from somewhere else.
Yes.
And for me, this country has fulfilled every promise that the American dream talks about. But it really happened because when I was still working a factory, I was working a jewelry factory in Providence, Rhode Island. At the age of 20, I got a phone call and someone invited me to a meeting, and that meeting is when I learned about the concept of being in business for yourself. And that's where we started that entrepreneurial journey. But during that entrepreneurial journey, also there was a mindset change that happens, right? Because you go from those small, immigrant dreams to how do you aspire to bigger things is because you get around people who have bigger dreams, and the power of association and the books and the things that you do, a self-directed education, which eventually that mindset takes you to bigger places, to a higher level. And there's more to it, but that's kind of how we got there.
We're back. That was so awesome.
It was.
That was awesome. When you think about just how determined he had to be to pursue his goals. Sometimes we allow our thinking to cause us to limit us to where we are instead of that driving us to where we're called to be.
And we also have to make sure that we actually put action, because just because you have an aspiration for it, if you never do anything, it'll never get started, and it'll never get done.
Just think about all the things that we've been through as a married couple.
Yes, my goodness.
We never figured, we'd be doing television, but look at where we started from.
Exactly.
If you think about it, 2 kids in college, wanting to be a successful business owner, all those computer parts you had all over the apartment, running here and there.
I was determined.
And that's the thing. You were determined. You started your own business when we were back in college, and we were working together then. And that was just preparation for how we were going to be working together now.
It is, exactly. And the thing is that, at the time, everything looked great. And that's another thing, too, is the perseverance. Because at the time, things were going great, when I started the technology business. Yeah. And I had contracts, and, contracts were rolling in, and everything seems to be working right. But then all of a sudden, it all just imploded.
Yeah. But then that's just an inspiration not to give up. if you think about it, when we talk about that great American dream, no one really thinks about the fact that it may not go the way you intend to. Think about when we were talking to Alfredo and his wife, they shared a clip how she came to this country. She didn't speak the language. What was supposed to be a family trip
Right.
wound up in that ultimately switching her destiny. She wound up being arrested and having to start life all over. Now, how many couples do you know that when something like that happens, when life happens,
Devastation.
they give up? You know, let's take a look at what she had to say.
I'm Colombian. I definitely was not planning to move to this country, even I love it. I was bring here with my ex-husband to go to Disney World, and from Disney World I ended up being homeless and went to jail and had 2 years to leave. And from that point, I learned how to be from that place to now be in the position to be in a club of the $1 Million Club in my company. So it's been an amazing blessing. But I'm from Colombia, and now married with Colombian, American, Africans, Portuguese, French.
Now, you know what? That was so powerful. Just thinking about how what the enemy means for your harm, God will turn it around for your good. Just think about the couples that were coming through here. It kind of makes me think about Linda and Dave. What about you?
Yes, exactly. You talk about divine appointments.
Oh my
it was a
gosh.
divine appointment for Johanna and Alfredo to meet, but it's also a divine appointment for Linda and Dave to meet.
So we met actually at church. So I had just moved to the city we're in right now. And the very first thing that I know to do when I move to a new city is join a church and join a gym. So that's what I did. And when I got plugged into the church here locally, I immediately began seeking ways to serve. And I was plugged into a ministry that helped people going through grief and loss. In that ministry, Dave was already very active. And so he became a co-lead with me in a support group, working with people who were dealing with grief and loss. Now, Dave's backstory is he had lost his wife. So he was ministering to other people that were going through a life experience that he had firsthand experience with.
Just think, serving together. Your goal is just, he's grieving over the loss of his spouse. She's wanting to find someone to serve with. And when God puts those two together, it's amazing.
And the thing is that, he really puts in when you ask and you shall receive, because he asked for someone to serve in ministry. And it literally happened. That's how she came into play.
Didn't you ask God for me?
Of course I did.
In a sense, right?
In a sense,
you said you were going to go and meet your wife
I
at
was going to
school,
meet
right?
my wife in school, and it really came up unexpectedly. I was just minding my business, having fun, enjoying being at HBCU, and then all of a sudden you popped out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I couldn't keep my mind off of you.
It was time to get over that 7-1. Just focus on the one, right?
What's 7 to 1?
Yeah, that's for another time, right?
That's what they say. 7 women to 1 man, right? But hey, you wiped all those 7s away and became the one.
Well, I'm glad you recognize that.
Of course.
But there are times like that in relationships that the one is right in front of you. You don't even recognize it. And I'm thankful that God brought us together. And I was able to recognize you. You recognized me.
Exactly. And, it's really amazing when you tie in all the 2 guests with a divine appointment. It was a divine appointment that day. You heard from God that told you, hey, be nice to everyone you meet. And I was the one you met. And look at where we are now.
You know what I'm sitting here thinking about? It's something when God has to tell you, be nice, Takesha. Be nice. That's a father that really loves his children, because he knows if I don't tell her, she's going to act up.
I was going to say, so you must have really been something, huh?
You know that. It's been 28 years.
Okay, well, I'll tell you. We're going to get back to more right after these messages.
Hey everybody, my name's Elijah Boone. If you need healing and if you need inspiration, come check out my show, Angels in the Arena. Right here on Zonder TV.
Welcome back. We've been recapping our first season and some of the amazing nuggets. And I was, as we were talking earlier, it started reminding me about how we went through those challenges in our lives. And we had those moments that one of our guests loved to call the see nothing seasons. And that was a result of some of the decisions we made.
Exactly.
But one of the good things is that we didn't stay there. We made the changes in our life necessary.
But the biggest thing is that, Pastor Mark and his wife, they talked about their experiences and going through a see nothing season.
You know what? Let's take a look at that clip real quick.
As a wife, just understanding my husband's vision and following him. And even when there was times when we were in our see nothing season, just knowing that the way my husband positioned himself, even when we were dating, he always looked forward to the future. So when we were in our teens, he was planning for our 20s. And we were in our 20s, he was planning for our 30s. And I'm like, whoa, bro, like slow down. But I just want to respect my husband for having a vision and understanding. I remember there was days when we were in our see nothing season and he said, Lisa, just hang in there. I know you're frustrated, but it won't always be like this.
Then I got saved. I got born again at 22. So after reading the Bible from cover to cover, I began to see that God had a plan for our life beyond poverty and beyond the things we struggled with and beyond our family dysfunctions. And so I began to hear and see and seize the essence of what we were called to do with our lives. So we began setting our lives in a certain order. I always say that it's principle that creates prosperity. So we start living after biblical principle. I told my wife, I don't care what our friends are doing. The house of the wise is full of treasure and oil, but the fool spends everything he gets. So we're going to save. And who builds the tower without first sitting down and considering costs? So we're going to budget. And we ought to owe no man anything but love. So we're going to get rid of our debt. And we're going to give our tithe as a reflection of our honor of God as our source. So we began living by principle.
That resonates with us because I can recall when we went through a see nothing season. I mean, if you want to cap it up and sum it up, I can recall going from looking at billions to bankruptcy, but then from bankruptcy to bankroll.
Now, let me ask you something. You said see nothing, season. You
Yes.
forgot the S on the end.
Seasons, yes.
And that's kind of where couples get frustrated when you find yourself, you're going up and then you come down and up and down. It's almost like you're on the roller coaster and you're ready to get off the ride. But the thing is that sometimes you just got to strap yourself in and hold on, which I'm so thankful that we did.
Exactly.
Because if we would have given up in those seasons where we were like living paycheck to paycheck, how they call robbing Peter to pay Paul,
Robinson, yeah, you're right.
being honest, hiding cars in garages.
Waking up and coming out and you're like, what happened to the car? This is funny now, but it wasn't funny back then.
Ooh, tell me about it. It was not funny. But you know
Oh
what?
my
I'm
gosh.
thankful because God knows exactly what you're going to go through.
Yes.
And when I think about the times where you were working and I was so angry because you'd be going back and forth, flying to California, you'd be gone every week and I'd be by myself. But those same mileage points helped us when we needed those hotel stays when the lights got shut off. But that's a whole other conversation for another time.
Oh man, my goodness. But it was a learning experience.
Yeah.
And that's how we learned how to persevere through it to get to where we are now. That's why I say, from bankruptcy to bankroll. So now we went from to hey.
But the truth is, it just cost us, we actually required us to just keep focusing on our ultimate goal because we couldn't get distracted. You're always getting distracted. There's always going to be something vying for your attention, trying to get you off the path that God has for you.
Exactly.
But when you persevere and you shift that mindset is everything. Shifting our mindset, like Apostle Mark talked about,
Right.
those living according to biblical principles.
Right,
It's going to
using God's
require you,
principles.
how they say, you live like no one else is living now, so
Right.
you can live like no one
We
else
can't
is
live
living
like
later.
the Joneses. We got to live like the Hylicks. But
Yeah.
the Hylicks are going to live their life according to God's word and God's principles.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it was hard. Sometimes when everybody's buying new cars, I felt like Lady Lisa did, like, when is my season? When is my time? But sometimes God's like, it's not your season yet. There's something that you have to learn from what you're going through that's going to help you so you're not going to keep repeating these same things over and over and over again. Because that in and of itself can be stressful for a couple.
But you know, you mentioned something when we talk about the mindsets. Now, the upgraders,
Oh, that was powerful.
very powerful.
That was a powerful segment.
Upgrading your mindset. You know what? Let's take a look at that clip.
All right.
Yeah, so there's a quote by Alvin Toffler.
Okay.
He said, "We must unlearn the things that we've been programmed to believe since birth, because that software no longer exists if we want to live in a world where all things are possible." So
love that.
I took that quote and said, okay, I must unlearn my programming. And see, that's what happened with our marriage. I had to unlearn it. Unlearn what I saw growing up, and it now, what's our new? That's literally what it is.
And for me, as he unlearned that, I had to come to a place of unlearning what I thought needed to be so as it pertained to business. So my unlearning, he was already doing. Dexter was going after information. He was upgrading. He was going to new levels. His understanding was changing. While I was saying, no, you go to school, you get a job, we got the house, you get the picket fence, you have your children, and you're gonna just stop right there. This is success. Only to realize that I was putting a block, a cap on who it is that God created me to be so I can go to the next level. It took a minute. He was already there, I wasn't. So he was patient, but he was a good husband, one that kept building me up, never tearing me down until finally I had the mindset shift as well. And when that happened, things began to really soar.
That was so powerful. When you think about it, the mindset is everything. So many times couples focus on the financial aspect, getting that paper, getting that bag. But in order to accomplish those things, your mind has to be in the right place. You got to have the right priorities. You know, we've got to learn to shift our mind to a point where we're focusing on where God's taking us other than where we are at this moment.
Right. We got to shift our mind. And, you know, when you talk about becoming a millionaire power couple, if you're still thinking, this is all I can make and this is all I can do, and this is only how our relationship can be. And if it's not to the point where you're happy and you're enjoying your spouse and you're not where you want to be in your finances, then you definitely need a mind shift. And that's why you have to upgrade your mind shift.
You know what? Something so powerful. It starts with you. You remember that from that segment?
Yes, it does.
When they dropped that nugget of wisdom, that hit me right here. It starts with you. So we just want to remind other couples out there that the change, if you want to be the change that you want to see in your relationship, it's going to start with you.
Now, I know you can share a little bit about making a mind shift, because you have been a pharmacist for like over 19 years in corporate America. And then you had to make a shift into the entrepreneurial mind shift. And that's where we both came in, where, you know, one was in corporate America, one was entrepreneur. And then we both came entrepreneurs.
Well, you know what? God blessed me to be able to see things from your perspective, because I couldn't understand why you were grinding always up to late wee hours in the morning, all these networking, all this meeting. I just thought you really didn't want to be at home, didn't want to be bothered. But I could see your passion and your commitment and wanting to see this family go to the next level. Like when we talked about it with one of our guests before, they said finance is one of the least things that you wanted our family to have to worry about. But why don't we just, I don't know. It's kind of hard when you start thinking about the financial aspect of marriages. Of course, we talk about building a strong marriage. Finances, that's going to be a huge part of it.
It is big because, you know, although you need money in order to do anything in life.
Right.
You can't just live off of love. You have to have finances, especially when you're looking as a man. Man has to have finances to provide for his wife and his family, you know, and that's part of, you know, just society.
Well, I'll tell you what. Can you hold that thought for one moment? And we'll be right back.
Hey friends, have you ever felt like you're on this hamster wheel of life and you just can't get off? That was me for 23 years until I took that brave leap and hired myself. Here at Lisa Williams Co., we help you make your next chapter your best chapter. We will empower, equip, and inspire you to step into your role as a God-gifted entre-believer. Come visit us and become a blessed wealth builder today.
Hey everybody, this is Tracy. If you're going through some stuff and you need some inspiration today, I want you to check out Fireside Chat with Zondra Television right here on Zondra TV.
All right, we're back. I mean, this season has been amazing.
It has.
Just thinking of all the nuggets of wisdom. And like we were sharing before, it started making me think or a little bit more, even in regards to how we work together. There are things that, even though we went through all those challenges together, we were still able to work together.
Right. We have to keep in mind that we're not in competition with each other. You know, that we work as a team. We work on each other's strengths and we supplement each other's weaknesses. And that falls right into what Linda and Dave was talking about.
Oh yeah. Let's take a look at that clip real quick.
One of the biggest blessings that I've received in goodness, my whole career has been the opportunity to build a business that really is based around this idea of serving others. And Dave has been so supportive and so instrumental in helping me build this business that serves over 20,000 women now globally. We have 20,000 women that listen to our podcast, more than that read our newsletter, that are part of our learning events every single week, that are part of our leadership boards and our trust forums. And the interesting thing I think about the women that are part of Leadership Global is that they all come to the community with just as much to offer as they do to receive. And so what we see is that women are united in celebrating each other, lifting each other up, supporting each other. And when I crafted this community, Dave is the one who said, I got you. Like, do what you need to do to build the vision, to create the purpose, to start this community, and let me help you. Because he is brilliant when it comes to business forecasts and financial projections and organizing and projecting process. And so he has been so instrumental in helping me think through some of the fundamentals around operational excellence, process orientation, financial acumen, forecasting, developing a sales pipeline, a marketing plan. All of that is part of this community, and it has been supported and helped. I think Dave has helped architect much of that.
That was really powerful.
It is. And, you know, it's great that you and I could do the same because, you know, where I'm more of a visionary and less detail-oriented, but you're very detail-oriented. I can't even send a good email out.
Don't say you can't, you know. But you know what? Sometimes it's easier when your spouse flows in their gifts or talents. It makes it that much easier. You can focus on the things that only you can do, and I can focus on the things that I can do. And it makes it easier. But couples have to realize it. Sometimes we're so busy trying to make everything perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just got to start.
Right, exactly. And we got to remember not to be in competition. And you know what most couples fight about? When one makes more money. Well, actually, when the woman makes more money than the man, he feels like, oh gosh, she makes more money than me. And people are like, oh, you let her make more money than you? But they fail to forget is that when you put that money together, it makes you that much more, give you much more buying power. You know what I mean? Together.
Well, I understand your perspective from that.
Yes.
But it makes me think about the fact that when you're both working hard to accomplish a goal.
As a team.
As a team, when you learn to do what?
Stay in your lane.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was thinking about.
And you know who's good at, who would just mention that, right?
Oh my God, yeah. You guys, you got to take a look at this clip from my vet and Jay Mamie.
Well, I can share with you part of that is knowing who you're in business with and who your partner in life is. And you know, I believe that if you've got someone who stands by you and stands alongside of you, that can provide not only the creative content and all of the wonderful work that they can do for you, and they do it selflessly, oftentimes that's really the magic formula to have a successful business and a thriving marriage, especially if you're working together.
I agree. Well, I am the creative director for our business. He thinks of it and I make it tangible.
Wow.
And so that is part of what makes us such a great team.
And I think that's powerful.
It is. You know, a lot of times when couples, they say, I want to go into business together. They don't really think about it. Well, okay, this is not the marriage part. We have to go into business. We have to walk in our different roles because we have different strengths and we have different weaknesses. And so sometimes there's a clash, you know, when you have two people who want to have the leadership role. Do you ever come across any of those scenarios?
We have.
Yeah.
We have. In
Yeah.
fact, we've had to have these clear-cut conversations about defining roles. And when you define your role, you understand you stay in your lane. It doesn't mean that you don't have input into what the other person is doing, but you have the final say in what you're an expert at. And so with me and Jay, we defined that early on, and he understood, I don't know anything about putting anything together, so I'm going to trust her wisdom. And I had to look at him as the person who was in the public eye, and so I had to trust his instinct when it came down to what he would plug himself into, and I would just let him be who he was going to be.
She really hit the nail on the head
She
with
did.
that one, that it's important to flow in your gifts,
Right.
and allow your spouse to flow in theirs. You know, and to be able to set boundaries, that's something that she talked about. And I think is really, really key. Some couples are afraid to establish boundaries. This is my gift. Don't, let me flow in this.
And
so you
respect
can
it
have
too.
Yeah.
Right, because it's like, you have a doctorate in pharmacy. There's no sense in me trying to tell you, well, how much medicine I need to take or when I need to take it.
Don't do it. Stay in your lane.
Exactly. So once we do that, then things are going to flow correctly. Instead of trying to circumvent and pretend that like I know what I'm talking about. No, I need to just stay in my lane, allow you to operate in your strengths, and I operate in my strengths, and together, it makes it work.
It helps you flow together as a team. And I think that's really, really important because as couples, you got to recognize that you're on the same team. And that's the hardest part. You don't see, and now I love basketball, but sometimes I mess up who plays one position.
Right.
But when you have, Steph Curry doing one thing, he's not trying to play Klay Thompson's position or was it Draymond Green? I
Right.
love my Golden State Warriors.
Yeah. Stay in your lane, stay in your strengths, and operate. But
you can go further together.
Exactly. And that's why becoming a millionaire power couple, we talk about that. Because, staying in your lane, it really fits into your marriage. It fits into your business. And if you got your marriage and you're both operating in your strengths in your marriage, and you're both operating in your strengths in your business, and this is how you continue to create wealth. And then you come together to make sure that wealth doesn't just fall away after a certain amount of time. That's how you create generational wealth. And so, this season has been so great. Yeah. We had some great couples, some great episodes, and it's been really fun.
You didn't mean great?
It was great.
I just like to mess with you.
Okay, I use a different adjective. Awesome.
Oh Lord! But just think about it. When you're really serious about building, we want to build a strong marriage. You want to build that successful business. You want to build generational wealth. It all starts with laying that solid foundation.
Right.
And the two of you coming together as a team. And that's something that even through our ups, our downs, us having to learn how to stay in our own lane.
Right.
You flowing in the tech aspect of the business, and I was with the organization and structure part. And then we clashed until we learned, hey,
right.
We flow much better, much more seamlessly when we stay in our own lane.
Exactly.
And that's a nugget of wisdom.
Exactly.
For the couples out there, or for anyone that's watching.
For anyone that's watching, and that includes singles. That's where you have to look for someone that's not exactly like you, right? But someone that you have, that you can build a life together.
Yeah.
Build, a strong marriage and build, generational wealth. Building is fundamental.
Yes.
Building is fundamental. But you know what? We are just, again, wrapping up this season 1 of Becoming the Millionaire Power Couple. Dr. Sakisha and I are really ecstatic and happy that we were able to share and impact you, the listeners and the viewers. Yeah. So just keep remembering this, if we can leave something for you to resonate on with you, is that always remember ACT. teach. Action changes things. Not
Because-
just words, but action.
Because powering ain't easy.
It sure isn't. But until next time.
All right.